Glenford McLeish, welcome to Profile.
Thank you so very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is our pleasure to have you. You have a wonderful story and we'll have an opportunity to share it with people today. But let me just give them a sense of the Cliff Notes version before we go in. So raised by grandmothers in rural St. Elizabeth, you've detailed this story, by the way, in your new book, Gratitude.
Yes.
Excelled at Stets in business, subjects, student leadership, choir and debates, much to talk about there. Became a chartered accountant and global project manager after starting at Price Waterhouse and surviving major setbacks as well. And you've worked across the Caribbean,
yes,
North America and Europe, holding senior roles in finance and project leadership, grounded in faith, family and reflection, and now lives with what one might call balance, humility and purpose. And part of that is just you're being grounded in your Christian faith. And I want to start there by talking about growing up and the circumstances under which you grew up, which you write about in the book.
Yes, thank you. And you've put that together even better than I could have myself. But yes, thanks. I grew up in St. Elizabeth, a little district, Southampton, sandwiched between Santa Cruz and Malvern, big towns there. Grew up in what is now a 130-year-old home, 2 rooms, about 10 of us across 5 generations, from great-grandmother, grandmother, grand-aunts, and cousins, all female leaders, all female leaders and breadwinners. The kitchen was about 10 yards away, a lean-to, earthen floor, rock protruding kitchen, 1 fireplace, marshaled by my grandmother.
Where were the parents?
Well, that's the crux of the book, actually. My mother had left me when I was 30 months old. She had gone off to Canada to work in what I've come to term as WINS, which is a West Indian domestic scheme. It targeted women of the Caribbean to fill labor shortage in that country. So she had left me when I was 30 months old. My father, I knew when I was 40, already married with my 2 children. My wife was meeting her father-in-law and my children their grandfather at the same time I was meeting my father. I'd driven 435 miles, close to 5 hours, from Tampa, Florida to Miami to meet him. Early years for me, father didn't matter. I couldn't care less. That was my attitude to him. I didn't know him. I didn't know anybody related to him. But thanks to my wife's constant needling, you need to find him. And I went to Tampa to work on a special program. I was recruited there by a firm through a friend of mine who was working there. He's in the book as well, Ethan Parkins. And little did I know, Archibald, that going up to Tampa to work, the road to my father was well under construction. I didn't know it. And I eventually found him, drove to meet him. My brother was down in Florida at the time. And there's some major disappointments in that my father and my brother, not his son, were known to each other and did works commonly. Yet, my father never ever asked of my whereabouts, what's become of me.
Even when you were growing up?
Yes, he never did. I've never seen the man. Well, I didn't even know his name properly. And I can say to you that many a times, pulling together, filling out official documents, I had a real difficult time when they asked about father's name, address, occupation, age. I didn't have a clue. How I got by those times, I don't remember just now, but I didn't know anything of him.
When you were younger, did you have that sense of the absence of a gap of your parents?
No, I'm a strange child in that sense. No, I didn't. And I've put it to a couple of things. One, I was in a close-knit community right there in Southampton, St. Elizabeth. I was in a close-knit community, and my grandmother had anchored me very well. And of course, my great-grandmother was there as well. So it was a tight-knit family, even though a little lopsided in the absence of a male head of household and a male breadwinner until years later. And of course, years later, there came Mama and Dada, Osborne Mullins, Myrtella Mullins. They became grace for me, and they made me a real testimony of Psalm 27, verse 10. When my mother and father forsake me, then the Lord shall take me up.
So
I'm
these
a
were
walking testimony of it.
These were your relatives as well?
Yes, these were my relatives, mama, my grand aunt, and dada, just her husband. One room had to be for my great-grandmother and a grand aunt. Mm-hmm. And the other room for the 7 or 8 of us, all huddled together, head to toe sleeping to make space, or some on the floor, and we made it work. It was when I had to move, because one of my cousins got pregnant and I had to leave. It was no longer a place for a boy, so I went to live at Upper Yard.
So Upper Yard now is the place, these are the people who spent most of the time raising you.
Yes.
What were they like?
Oh, Christian people. First of all, Dada is a a justice of the peace, a lay preacher, a tax collector, an enumerator, and like he used to be the presiding officer for the polling division there. Above all of that, he was the district councillor.
So he had all of those jobs?
He had all of those jobs, and he was like family disputes over land, over landline, they would come to him. And sometimes they'd go well into the night and probably have to come back tomorrow. And that was free of charge, no charge for that. Mama, on the other hand, was her perfect anchor. Myrtla Mullins is her name. And she's my grandaunt. She took me in and, provided grace unto me. But guess what? That was Mama's purpose under God, to raise up. I wasn't the only, generations of us came in, raised up, fed and clothed and released in better stead.
No, you've spoken to me about particularly the role of education in terms of just seeing this happen. And I want to talk a little bit about that, about, the role they played in terms of raising you, sending you to school, and how that shaped your life. But we have to take our first break on Profile. My guest is Chartered Accountant and Global Project Management Professional Glenford McLeish, and we're back with you right after these messages.